Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down the universal language of construction. We're talking about those all-important standards that dictate how we build just about everything, from massive skyscrapers to simple bridges. ACI, ASTM, British standards, and the Eurocodes. Let's jump right in. So you look at a building like this, and it's just incredible, right? It's a masterpiece. But what you don't see is this invisible set of rules, this framework that makes sure it actually stands up and stays safe. So what are these rules, and how on earth do they let teams from all over the globe work together on one project? Well, these rules or standards are so much more than just a bunch of regulations. They're really a shared language. It's the language that engineers, architects, and builders all speak. And in an industry where your team members and your materials could come from literally anywhere, having that common ground is absolutely non-negotiable. And this slide, this really gets to the heart of why it all matters. Think about those huge projects, say in the GCC, where you've got contractors and suppliers from a dozen different countries. These codes are what make that global collaboration even possible. They're also crucial for building things that last in tough environments. We're talking scorching heat, salty air, even earthquakes. At the end of the day, it's all about ensuring quality, which minimizes risk, and that's what gives investors the confidence to pour money into these amazing projects.
I love this quote because it just nails it. These documents aren't just something cooked up in a committee meeting. They represent decades, even centuries of knowledge. It's the collective wisdom of countless engineers learning from what worked and, maybe more importantly, from what didn't. Okay, so let's get into the specifics, starting with the design codes. The easiest way to think about these is like the master blueprint for a project. They tell you how to design the structure itself. And the two heavyweights in this arena are the American ACI codes and the European Eurocodes.
First up, you've got ACI, the American Concrete Institute. It's the go-to standard in the US, the Middle East, and a lot of Southeast Asia. Now, the key thing to know about ACI is that its codes are written in what's called mandatory language. It's very direct, very explicit. There's no wiggle room, which is exactly what you want for legal contracts.
And then, on the other side of the pond, you have the Eurocodes. This is a whole suite of 10 standards designed to create one single, unified system for the entire European Union. The goal was to get rid of all the different national standards, like the old British standard BS 8110, and get everyone on the same page. Now, here's where it gets technically pretty cool. They both want to build safe structures, but they get there in slightly different ways. ACI uses a strength design approach. It figures out the total strength of, say, a concrete beam, and then applies a safety discount factor to the whole thing. Eurocode, on the other hand, uses limit state design. It applies the safety factors directly to the raw material strengths, to the concrete and steel themselves, before you even calculate the final capacity. It's like two different paths leading to the same safe destination.
Okay, so if design codes are the blueprint, what about the actual ingredients? The concrete mix, the steel rebar, all the physical stuff. That's where materials standards come in. And the biggest name in that game is ASTM International.
The job of ASTM is super clear. It's not about how to design something. It's all about the quality of the stuff you're building with. It sets the scientific rules for testing materials to make sure they are what they say they are. And that right there is its superpower. ASTM creates a universal language for testing. That means a concrete strength test done to an ASTM standard in Dubai should give you the exact same result as a test done in Dallas. That consistency is what builds trust across the entire global supply chain.
And ASTM keeps its thousands of standards organized. You've got Class A, which is all about iron and steel. So that's where you'll find the standard for rebar. Then there's Class C for concrete and masonry, which specifies things like Portland cement. This system makes it pretty easy for engineers to pinpoint the exact standard they need for just about any material on the job. Okay, so we've got our design blueprints and our ingredient lists. But what happens when these different systems all have to work together on a real global job site? Well, that's where engineers have to navigate some pretty key differences. This is a classic one. For testing concrete strength, the ACI and ASTM world uses a cylinder-shaped sample, but the Eurocode and British Standard world, they mostly use a cube. Now, here's the kicker. Because of the different shapes, that cube was usually tested about 20% stronger than the cylinder, even if they're from the exact same batch of concrete. You can see how that could cause some serious confusion if you didn't know about it. This little table sums up some of those key differences really well. We talked about the design philosophy and the test specimens, but look at this last one.
maximum concrete strain. ACI caps it at 0.0003, while Eurocode allows it to go a tiny bit higher, to 0.0035. It's a small difference, but it shows a slightly different way of thinking about how materials behave under stress.
So, how do the pros handle all this in the real world? Simple. They mix and match. They use the best tool for the job. On a massive project like the Jeddah Tower, engineers used ACI 318 for the concrete design, but they switched to Eurocode 1 for its really advanced methods for calculating wind loads. That's where that global expertise really pays off.
So look, understanding all these codes is one thing, but actually putting them into practice perfectly on a chaotic, fast-moving construction site, that, my friends, is a totally different challenge.
And that's the real question, isn't it? You've got all these rules, all these standards, countless tests to run. How do you manage all of that on site and make sure everything is compliant without descending into total chaos? How do you escape the nightmare of spreadsheets in a million different WhatsApp groups?
Well, answering that question is where modern tools are changing the game. And you know, this whole explainer is brought to you by Lementai, a platform that's designed to solve that exact problem. Lementai is all about helping you digitize your entire workflow on site. It lets you finally ditch those messy spreadsheets and all those chaotic group chats and put everything in one single place. This way, you make sure everyone on the team is on the same page, which makes compliance and clarity a whole lot easier. You can actually start for free over at lementai.com.
So we'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. If these international codes really are the language of modern construction, how fluent is your team? Thanks for watching.